Now, there is something that causes people not to want to acknowledge problems. And the biggest enemy of acknowledgement of reality, it is past achievements. Very odd thing to say, but one's past achievements can be one's greatest enemy of progress in the present. Because many people, they have a way of being stuck in their past glory, that when they look in the past, they remember their glorious days, and then now when there are current challenges that are threatening that glory, they have somehow a way of thinking that, hey, listen, it cannot be me. Hello friends, my name is Ayanda Nomaje, and you are at the Balanced Gospel. To the new viewers, welcome. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, share your thoughts with us, engage with us. To those who are returning, thank you for your loyalty. Our growth can only be accredited to you coming back and sharing with friends and family, and of course, sharing with us your thoughts and comments. It is much appreciated. This month we are on a journey to say, build a name for yourself. Build a name for yourself. So we reflected the last time on the importance of understanding that a name outlasts everything that you can ever have or own. A name is in essence who you are. A name can bring hope to current circumstances. A name is an embodiment of everything from which you come from. A name brings hope for a future that may seem dim due to circumstances and disadvantages under which you are born. But when we then consider a person in essence of who they are, in their name, meaning in who they are, in their character and their identity, that person can then bring hope for the future. In looking at everything, we also learned that a good name is important, but not necessarily competing with wealth creation. We also looked at the paradox of a wealthy man with a good name and a poor person with a good name, in that your poverty can also diminish the influence of a good name. So there is importance that in our wisdom we must work our way up to create wealth and to come out of poverty. So there is no divinity with us remaining poor and claiming wisdom of God when we cannot use God's principles to work our way out of poverty. So today we are starting to look at how to build that good name, how to build a strong name so that we can grow a good name for ourselves in essence of who we are holistically. Now today we are saying, be a problem solver. One of the key things to growing a name for yourself, it is to solve problems, a beacon of solutions. Now when we look and consider all that people are, many people when they face problems, some murmur and complain. Others turn away from problems as they see risk and they walk away. But there are some who when they see a problem, they will face it, look into it, find opportunity, and they grow with those problems. It is evident in history that no one grows without problems. In fact, life in general, even the Bible itself in John chapter 16, verse 33, it says, even to Christians and believers, in the world you will have tribulation, you have trouble. In fact, in Job chapter 14, verse 1, a wealthy man there, he had everything that he could think of and everything that we could ever desire in this world. And yet, Job 14 verse 1 records and says, a man born of a woman, his days are few and they are short, but his troubles, they will be many. So life is full of trouble, life is full of challenges. It is what we make of life's challenges that make us the persons that we are. So therefore, through challenges and solving problems, we will be great. The person who makes it in life the greatest are the people who know how to come out of trouble, are people who know how to overcome troubles, are people who know how to remain who they are in essence of their character through every challenge that they face in life. Let's talk about what defines and what makes a problem solver. What makes a person a beacon of solutions? Number one, the first thing is that a person who is a problem solver is a person who looks beneath the surface. It is a person who looks beyond the problem to try and understand from a root cause what caused the problem that we are facing at the moment. It is a person who is able to reason from cause to effect. So when we talk about a person who is a problem solver, the element of analysis, looking into a problem, is key. Now, for you to analyze anything, there is something key for you to even come to that point. It is that you must first accept you have a challenge. You know, there are people who live their lives, their philosophy in life is that they admit no challenge. They admit to no problem because they must speak only positivity in life and they must not agree that there is a problem. So even when there's a headache, they cannot agree that I have a headache because they must speak positivity. So, but that then robs you of the opportunity to identify the problem, acknowledge there is a problem, analyze the problem, and then you get deep into the roots, not just to look at the facade of the branches and the leaves and the fruit that you see on the surface, but to go deep beneath the surface of the ground, look into the roots to see what the problem is. What this means is that it means that we are people who embrace the circumstances in their reality. It means that you make reality your friend. You understand that life has challenges and you don't deny and you live beyond reality. You acknowledge when there is a problem and you can then face it and analyze the problem. The other important thing is that you are a person who is willing to reason from the cause of the issue to the effect. Where things started, what caused it. In other words, you understand what are the weaknesses that led us to the problem that we are in. What did we neglect that we should have addressed that landed us where we are? So it's important that when we have a problem and we have a challenge, as a person who is aiming to be a problem solver, you have to be realistic and be real to your issues. Now, there is something that causes people not to want to acknowledge problems. And the biggest enemy of acknowledgement of reality, it is past achievements. Very odd thing to say, but one's past achievements can be one's greatest enemy of progress in the present. Because many people, they have a way of being stuck in their past glory, that when they look in the past, they remember their glorious days, and then now when there are current challenges that are threatening that glory, they have somehow a way of thinking that, hey, listen, it cannot be me. Everybody knows I am the guy. Listen, my guy, sometimes life has got challenges that come our way, and we have to, in reality of what we face today, in an effort of continuous growth, acknowledge the challenges that we have and acknowledge that in these challenges, it doesn't mean just because we were glorious and victorious in the past victory does not guarantee success in current day's challenges. We will be measured on a day-to-day basis. We will be measured in our victories on a day-to-day basis. And there are plenty and many people who have succeeded in the past, been glorious in the past, been victorious in the past, but who were overcome by smaller challenges in the present because they think that the victories of the past are perpetual to eternity. It doesn't happen that way. We must look into the causes of our weaknesses today. Life changes, circumstances change, the dynamics of external forces change. Even if we remain the same, but if we don't adapt to external factors and external forces to make sure that we are adaptable and we improve and continuously grow ourselves, we may find ourselves overtaken by circumstances. Be able to analyze root cause of all issues. Be able to look into everything that you are experiencing. Understand where things started, what caused the problem, where the issues are coming from, what are the weaknesses, what can we address, what can we not control. That which we can address, we deal with it and correct all the wrongs. That which we cannot address, we embrace and accept that we cannot control everything in life. If you have trust in God, fortunately for you, then in those things you can turn to God and say, here, I've done everything that I can. Beyond what I can, then we can turn to prayer. Prayer will not close the gap of responsibility of issues that we have the power to address and issues that we have the power to solve as problems that come our way. Now, another thing, second thing that is important when you are dealing with problems and aiming to be a beacon of solutions is that you must remain calm in the face of chaos. What this means is that, like a dove in a deep place of waters, in the deep end of the waters, your work must be underneath. You cannot be the person that is reflective of the turmoil and the struggles that you are facing. Remain calm in the face of struggle all the time. Now, for you to be able to do that, you can only do that if you are self-aware. You know yourself. So in other words, in aspects of personalities, you understand that when I make decisions, I have a higher profile of being driven by how I feel. Then you become conscious of your feelings when you face struggles. If you are a person who's more logically driven when you are making decisions, then you become cautious when you are dealing with people because you know that you may not be as sensitive as you should be when you deal with people issues in solving problems. So self-awareness in dealing with issues is key and it is important. But what you aim to achieve when you are dealing with a problem, it is to remain calm. As you are self-aware, address yourself, take a moment to calm yourself down, take a moment to be sensitive in terms of the realities of what you are facing. So when you face issues, calmness will help you to look at things for what they are. If you are not calm, data will be an enemy to you. In other words, when you look at information and the data and the circumstances and the facts at hand, you will see it as an enemy to you because you are not calm, you are not self-aware, because you don't like what you are seeing. Therefore now, we then abuse faith and confuse it for presumption that, no, the Lord will see us through. No, you must solve what you can solve. Don't be quick to say faith, faith, faith. Solve what you can solve. Presumption is an assumption that beyond reality, God will do what we can do for ourselves. No, that is presumption. Faith is that which we cannot do for ourselves. God will help us to achieve. When we have done that which we can, prayer then extends our efforts and it supplements us with that which God can do for us. Prayer and faith is that which becomes a blessing to that effort that we have extensively invested ourselves as much as we possibly can. So it is important that when we deal with issues, we remain calm. Self-awareness is key so that we don't allow the natural person that we are conflict with potential solutions that we can actually find in dealing with our problems. Thirdly, resourcefulness, not just access to resources. Be resourceful. In other words, you as an individual, when you walk in with nothing in your hand, nothing in your pocket, nothing in your bank balance, but you as an embodiment of a person, you become resourceful. What that means is that beyond the systems the tools, the knowledge, the people that you have and the connections that you have around you, you know how to maximize. You know how to deal and put things together. You know how to interpret information. You know how to work with what you have, work with it and make the most of it. That is being resourceful. There are people who've got access to plenty of information, but they don't know how to put it together. There are people who've got plenty of systems and tools. They don't know how to maximize and utilize them. There are people who've got access to an enormous network. They don't know how to make that resourceful for an impactful growth in their own careers and name. Be a resourceful person, meaning you know how to leverage on what you already have, leverage on what is already there. The answers of your solutions are not always in what you don't have. Quite often when people have a problem, they think, what can I get? No, what do I have? That's where you start. What do I have? When you want to grow, what do I have? Am I making the most of what I already have? Am I making the best of the tools and systems that I already have at my disposal? Leverage and maximize on what you've got. Now, lastly, when you then have looked at the problem, you've analyzed it, you have become sensitive to issues, you've made reality your friend, you've embraced the issue and you are now looking into it. Listen, at the end of the day, once you've looked at anything, you've analyzed it, don't be stuck now in a cycle of analysis paralysis, where now you are addicted to analyzing things but never moving forward to actually solving the problem. There are people who find value in engaging with a problem at a theoretical and in a hypothesis level, but then comes now to executing that, there is nothing that then happens moving forward. You must be able to take thoughts and convert them to actionable items that can actually find and give you results from what you are trying to solve. So, solve problems with actionable outputs at the end of the day. We don't get stuck in just solving the problem by analyzing it. We must action so that we do something. There is a balance between those who just are Nike, just do it without analyzing anything. Those people learn through the cuts of the skin. Bleeding is the lesson for them. There are some people who analyze everything and they never move forward. Those people never progress because they get stuck in analysis paralysis. At the end of the day, small progress is progress. Once you've looked at something, do something. As you do something, you may actually find that the next solution is in you moving forward rather than with you continuously analyzing what you've already looked at. As you then action things, the most key thing it is to know that this problem, for it to be resolved, it starts here, it ends here. Follow through with what you've started. Don't stop until it is resolved. Sometimes as things get better, we forget that we still have a problem. No, we are not here to improve things. We are here to resolve the problems so that we can resolve things as when we started from the root cause. So we don't just improve things to get better, we resolve them so that they do not return and haunt us again. Resolve the problem, follow through with it, and make sure that you've gotten rid of the problem from its root cause. Make sure that you've gotten rid of the effect from the cause, and make sure that everything that you've looked at is not just addressed on the surface. You're not just addressing things based on what can be seen, but even beyond what people can see. The fundamental issues that have led to the problem are addressed, and you follow through until you've gotten rid of those issues. In other words, when we then resolve problems, we ourselves cannot remain the same, because when we then do an analysis, we then find that there are things that are within our control that we have to change. There are things beyond our control that we cannot change. And that is an area of growth for each individual in the mind, in the heart, in terms of our skills and effort and training that we may need to make sure that these problems do not come back. So we make sure that we follow through and address all of our shortcomings as we resolve problems. As I then leave you, I want to just remind you that when we look at issues and look at challenges, our aim and success is in finding solutions, solving the problem, becoming a beacon of solutions than one who is pessimistic, complaining, murmuring all the time. Rather, let's find solutions so that we can find growth. In finding solutions, we don't neglect ourselves. We understand that when we then embrace the challenge, and we embrace it not only as a problem but as a challenge through which we can find opportunities, we also embrace the need for us to develop ourselves, to grow ourselves and become better people. As we grow ourselves, we understand that we must work more on ourselves than we actually work on the problem. In other words, we put more investment in us, developed characters, developed skills, developed thinking than we do invest in resolving the problem. If our circumstances do not change, at least we must change. If our circumstances do not get better, at least we must be better people when we have looked back through those and from those challenges that we have faced. It is important that when we then have looked at our problems, done everything that we can, and we've resolved that which we can resolve, we've embraced that which we cannot change, we've turned to God to assist us and take us further on things that are beyond our power, resources, and capabilities, then at that point, we must be able to come to a point where we now document all our lessons learned, document all the solutions that we've come up with. And that means that we extend these skills and knowledge in a form of a process that can be also extended to people that we lead, to people that come after us. And as I leave you, I want to remind you that God is in a business of building great names. God is in a business of ensuring that His people have a place to be reckoned with in this world. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, He says to Abraham, I will bless you and you will be a blessing, and I will make your name great. God is in a business of making great names. Be sure that God is with you, that your name can be reckoned with. Your name can be a name of influence in spaces and areas where you operate. Where you are, let your name be remembered even beyond your time in that place. When you are gone, let them miss your presence, because you are a person who brings solutions to every problem. May God make you a problem solver, a beacon of solutions in every problem. God bless you.